joining me in this video. This video I want to discuss labor market impact assessments, also known as the LMIA applications. So what is an LMIA? An LMIA is needed for most applications when an employer is looking to hire a foreign worker. Now there are exemptions where you could qualify for a work permit, such as NAFTA work permits, etc. And you can definitely check out my videos on that. But this video will focus on where there is no exemptions. So assuming you're an employer looking to hire a foreign worker, what we have to look at is filing an LMIA application with Service Canada. This application really is divided into two sections and two categories. So it's one, LMIA is employer specific, meaning all the documentation really is about the employer, about the company, about efforts made, etc. Should the application then be approved, then it goes to the employee and what the requirements are for the employee. And it's a work permit application submitted in their home country. So again, in this video, we'll discuss the LMIA side of it. The requirements for the employer is to do extensive recruitment efforts, minimum 4 weeks. So what does that mean? That essentially means that the employer posts a position on Job Bank Canada and some other websites trying to hire a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. Now, what the officers look at is what is the job title, what are the job duties listed, what's the wage that you've posted, are there any other additional requirements that the employee has to face, etc., etc. The most important one is the prevailing wage that you put on the job postings, as well as the education and work experience requirements. Now, whoever your candidate is, your foreign candidate, ensure that whatever you post, obviously the candidate can meet those requirements. As for the prevailing wage, should the employer also wish to support the applicant in the future with their PR application, such as express entry, the wage is different than, let's say, if the employer wishes to just post the position and offer just the work permit. And usually when you do look at the wage, there's a significant difference. For PR purposes, you're looking usually around the $20 to $24. So keep in mind the requirements and the differences between a LMIA application that in the future is supported through the express entry and an LMIA application, also considered high wage or low wage applications, where it doesn't necessarily mean the employer is going to support the applicant through their PR process. So to go back as to what the officers really look for are as follows. They look for the genuineness of the job offer. The officers are very familiar that there's a lot of friends and family trying to get their people into Canada. And so even though that's legal, the officer wants to ensure that the offer that you're making to the candidate is genuine and it's not just to get the applicant status in Canada. And again, they go back to the postings. They look at how many Canadians and permanent residents apply for the position after it's been posted, and why you decided not to hire those individuals and what made the foreign candidate stand out. So there is a submission that needs to be drafted, an explanation needs to be made to the officer, and then you do need to give supporting documentation based on whatever arguments you've made. Another thing that they look at is the effects of hiring the foreign worker to the Canadian labor market. Usually, it has to be a positive effect. Sometimes the position might be available, Canadians might be applying for the job, however, the individual might have proprietary knowledge of the organization or something that uniquely stands out that the employer is looking for. Another thing that the officer looks at is, has the employer ever received previous positive LMIA before? And if yes, what happened to those candidates? So hypothetically, if you've been an employer and you've issued an LMIA for a candidate before, and right after it was issued, the candidate no longer had a job, that could obviously significantly affect next applications. So they look at histories of postings made, they look at histories of positive or negative LMIAs, and in whole, the officer will then decide to issue a positive LMIA. Keep in mind, the officers most likely will conduct an interview via phone and ask the employer some general questions about the postings, about the candidates that applied, interviews conducted, why those candidates were not suited for the position, and again, why is it that the employer desperately is looking for this foreign worker. An LMIA application is a lengthy process. In my professional opinion, it's one of the most difficult applications. Not an application that I would recommend a client tackle on their own. Definitely would recommend that you seek legal advice if you're going this avenue. And if you are the employer or an employee looking to file an LMIA application, do give us a call. Let us speak to you. Let us at least guide you in the right direction and answer any questions you may have. We'll be waiting for your call. Thank you, and until next time.